Alright, so the first thing I did was draw up the image, and now, after that I scanned it, and I took that file, and then I, placed it into Artweaver. And so this is the background here. And so the first thing I want to do is that, given that the lines aren't showing up as well, given it was like drawn in pencil, I'm going to double up on that layer. So I'm going to duplicate it, and then I'm going to set this up to linear burn. So what linear burn will do is just, make the second one, kind of burn into the second one. So you can do linear burn. There's a couple of different layers. And I just found out about linear burn just by testing it out. You got normal, you got darken, multiply. It's a lot of experimentation to find out which one works for you. And so this is color burn. So you can sort of see that it's not exactly what I want, but linear burn is good enough for me. You can always add more if you want to darken it up, but we're not going to do that right now. Okay. Actually, we're probably going to do that later. But this is the background, and this is linear burn. And you can, toggle out, see what it looks like without it. Now, the next thing that we want to do, since we're going to color this, is add a couple of layers. So the first one, I always want to put one in between it so I have a copy of the background, since I'm going to be putting things underneath it. Like, you'll see that my line work is always on top of the coloring, because I'm going to be using linear burn for everything. So this one here, layer 2, this is going to be my real background. This is just a backup. And since I want that one to be white, I'll fill it up with the paper color, which is normally white. And so I have that. You can see that it looks like what it looked like the first time around without the linear burn. So we're just going to double up on that again. So it's back to being dark. And we have our real background here. And from here I'm just going to be putting in colors, and so I'll be putting in a group of layers. Let's see, what is that? I think that's Shift Control 1. So, like maybe 5 or 6 layers, maybe 4, just depending on how I feel. On top of this one, and this is just a quick thing that you can do to make things easier, you put on the second layer, an extra layer on top of your line work, and this is pretty much your palette. This is where you're going to have, the colors that you want to save and use later on, since you only have an option of 2 of them here. The reason why we have this all the way at the top is because, when you pick the colors, it's going to be based on what it looks like here. And you're going to see that, once you start working with different layers and things like that, that the colors are going to change a little bit over time. But that's besides the point. We're going to start coloring now. So I usually like to go with the base. And I am working with a reference on this one. But I'm just going to go and start picking our colors that we're going to work with. We can put this onto the top. And so let's go and do that. We're going to go to the top layer, since we're going to use that as our palette. And one more thing with pencils. I usually color with oil. Oil is my usual go-to type of thing. Increase the size so you can see it. And this is the first thing for a palette. So right now I'm kind of just picking colors I'm going to be working with. Maybe I want to make this one a little brighter. Maybe more vibrant. There we go. And I have a reference picture that I'm going off of. This is like a redraw of a different person's character. So this is why I'm working so fast with finding out what colors I want to work with. Because I've already kind of looked at the character and I know what I want to do with it. But this is just going to be quick because it takes a while, to get all the colors in. So I'm just going to show you, the process a little quickly, so that way you can, sort of work and experiment with it on your own. Right there. Yeah. And just one more. A little darker right here. Alright, and so you have your color picker, you have everything else here. So let's go with the first layer. And from here, the process is pretty straightforward. You kind of just pick what you want to work with and then go from there. We'll start with this again. So you can just see it and then just quickly coloring it in. And it really doesn't matter right now if you go outside of the lines, just because you can come back later to erase it. But just kind of quickly coloring her in right now. And so for here, there's usually the basic coloring and then there's the cleanup. The cleanup is just where you go back and make sure everything's within the lines. You erase out any stray marks, fill in empty spaces that you might have from working on this. And it's pretty straightforward from here, So I'm trying to do a special effect or a simple effect. Like, these are supposed to be goggles, okay? And so what I will do, and I'll just pick a layer that's on top of this one because you want to do that. And I'm going to, let's pick a color. Take this one here. And so on top of this layer, I'm going to color it in. Now see how, the original color is like this, but it comes up a little bit darker here? And that's because of, how the layers work. They're pretty much like transparencies. Anyway, we're just going to go on and color both of these in. And so what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to start messing with some of the layers. Now normal just means that it's going to be as if, it's just a simple background before it. It's going to be the exact same color. You have darken, you can see what the effects are doing, as you cycle through it. You just find the one that works best for you. Usually when I'm getting these color effects, it comes from just experimenting, seeing which ones do what. So I think I probably want to go for lighten here. So let's see if I can get there. Here. And so you can sort of see how it's, it's lighter than what the original color was going to be. You can see how it's not showing up. So we'll do that. Now we're just going to go quickly over the next part of this process. So the way I usually do this, I'll have the solid colors here, and this is like just the actual flat colors. And then I'll have value work that I'll put above it, like the lighting and the shading. And so one more thing to say about this. This is how I usually started, have separate set of layers here, but you can also put them as a group. And so the way that you'll be doing that is you have new layer, you go to new layer, group, and you can see that you have the group setting here. So this is the first group. And so you'll be adding layers inside of this group, and what that'll do is it'll make it so that you can get rid of all of them at the same time. So let's go and just add some new layers, and I'll just go through the the key shortcut, that Shift Control N, just to add a couple more. And it sort of goes through the same process of experimentation, but we're just going to try to add some lights, some light and dark. And so what I'm going to do is go back here to the layer, and color that that white in, and do the same thing with a black for shading. Now you can sort of see that you can't see the white. And one thing that I like to do here, with this layer, I'm going to go in and add a new one. And I want to try to make a contrast between, the colors here, because with a white background, the lighter colors are not going to show up to see if you're on the outside. So what you're going to do is fill this in with an arbitrary color that's completely different from the rest of them, like something like green. And you're going to fill it in. So go to Image, Fill. And instead of paper color, you're going to go to foreground, because this is the foreground, this is the background. So you're going to go to foreground color here. You're going to fill it in. And so what this will do is that if you have any type of lighter colors, you can see, where they land. Where you can see, I can see a little white here now, and you can actually see the the previous orange that I put with the screen effect with the eyes is showing up here. So everything that you would have missed if the background was just plain white, you can see now. But let's go ahead and try to do something with the eyes. Now, this is a layering group, and you can designate which ones you want to have as the light colors. I'll probably make the first 3 light, and then these 3 will be the shading, and just go on and put some in. Here, change the size, change the opacity. Now, there's 2 places where you can change the opacity when you're coloring in. You have here with the actual brush itself, and then you have it with the layer. So we'll actually mess around with that right now. So we have our eyes for the goggles. And so you can toggle in like I said before. And so if you change the opacity here, you can see that it's coming in and out, right? So we're going to mess with that later, but now we're going to go to the lighting. And let's just say that we want the light to come from over here. So I'll just go on and do this here. Now you notice that it's in, and I'll actually do it for both here. You can see that this is for normal, right? Because it's just straight up solid color. And you can just cycle through until you find something that's good. I usually go with, something along, not color dodge, but hard light, soft light. You can see what's going on here. And you can do the same thing with the second layer, just to give it a second highlight. And let's just go on and put one on the outside. Do the same thing here. And so we can make it a little brighter. And here. And once again, you can change that. And I'll just go straight down to go right back to soft light or hard light. It's really up to whatever you feel like doing here. And you do the same thing with the shading. And so this process is, pretty straightforward, As far as it goes with what you want to do with the effects, it just comes down to experimentation and just keeping track of layers. So, for your solid flat colors, it would actually be really preferable to keep these, as a group, and keep your values as, a separate group itself. And I think that's it. If you need any help with the background, I'll try to... Actually, let's try to do something with that right now. So, I keep some background saved up. So let's actually go back here. A little folder for these things. And we'll just take one of these. And so I just sort of clicked and dragged it in. And let's see if we'll do that. And I'm just going to quickly select all of this. I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to go back to the image, if I can find it. It's this one here. Nope, not that one. Where is it? It's not that one. It's not that one. I'm going to have to find... Oh, here it is. Okay. So now that I have it, and this is usually put in the back here, above this one. Paste it, and put it here. Now, usually you'll have your solid colors and you can work with that. But then, once again, this works with the same rules. You can change it based on, what you set the layer as, like with the color dodge, hard light, soft light. So, it depends on what you're working with here. And you can also put this on top. Usually, I put it above the lines. Like below the line work, so just put it in a group. And I'll paste it here, and you can see it does the same thing. And it's not that these layers stack on top of each other like transparencies. I'll actually go down and do this for a second. But I think that's pretty much it when it comes to coloring. It's just a lot of experimentation, playing around with what you have, and just keeping track of layers. Like I said before, one more thing that I like to do with mine. So you can duplicate, and what I would do is use average, and this kind of frosts the image, and you can always change the transparencies, You got 30, so that's it.